I now want to very quickly talk about Against the Tide. It's my journey from growing up as a small girl, through to school, through my leadership journey. And I'm just sharing the way we Africans share. You know, we come from a background of oral tradition. My grandmother told me stories. My mother, my father, my aunts around me. And today I'm a storyteller to my grandchildren. And my children will remember the many stories I told them, because that's who we are. But because now we have reached a stage where we share more than those who speak our languages, and where we want to share for posterity, we are putting our stories in black and white. This is about sharing. We share my triumphs, we share my falls. There may be something I did that may encourage you. There may be something you will avoid, a pitfall that you may avoid. So this is a question of sharing. You want to understand me better, you will see me in this. Nobody's life can fit in one book. We take the highlights. Those who may not have met me, kindly meet me here. I hear people saying, hata hacheki. Unataka nicheke nikiongea mambo ya wizi ya pesa yako? Unataka nicheke nikiongea juu ya watoto wetu kuuawa? You are seeing me very serious moments. Meet me here. We may laugh together. And you may realize, mimi ni kama wewe. Ile sura unaenda Masisi nayo, sio sura ya harusi, sio sura ya party ya welcome a newborn. We all have different shades, but the media will portray the moments they want to portray. So utasema huyo hata hacheki. Si cheki maovu ya kitawala. Lakini ukinikuta a good moment, my friend, we shall have a good laugh. Ukinikuta masaa ya kudance, tutadance. Hata ukifikiria wewe ni Gen Z, utakuta granny can dance better than you. You see? So we all have different faces. I welcome you to meet me here. And those who may not get copies today, this book is on Amazon. And we are going to continue marketing it, because being in black and white, experiences, some of our experiences are universal. We can share them beyond the borders. Asanteni sana, mbarikiwe.
I want to turn to our able moderators to take us through.
Thank you. Asante sana, Honorable Martha Karua. As we've said, we are honored to have you here, and it's truly a pleasure to have you here. So we will, as we had, alternate with Kate to moderate this event. We have some questions that came from individuals who were not able to be here. So what I will do, I'll start with one of the questions that came from someone who was not able to be here, and then we'll go from there. So the first question that we have here, and I believe this question came from Sue Mwaura Ouko, sent a question, and her question was, let me start with this question. What is Kenya's problem? Does eliminating Ruto solve the problem? Do you think we should go the Burkina Faso way? And who can we trust moving forward? That was the first question that came. I think that, yeah, okay. That was the first one. The next one was, is there a way that through IABC courts that the IEBC can be obligated to include non-consulate registration centers. And then the final one, which may be tied to the first one, is now that Ruto has come out of what type he is, you as a key member of ODM once stated that he was unfit to be the president in the election. How will you convince Kenyans that ODM, and you in person, and I don't know if this individual is aware that there might be a shift, is the party to lead Kenya, and at the same time, Raila and his team being part of Ruto's government, how come you and other oppositions took so long to support the Gen Z's demonstrations? I think that second part is the most important. How come you and the other opposition group took so long to support the Gen Z demonstrations? I think we can start there, and then Kate will ask the rest of the questions. Thank you, Mugendi. So, we are in a democracy, and we appreciate that, and we will take that into consideration. Because Muheshimiwa was already in her way, prepping herself for that, the first part of the questions, let's give her a chance, and we certainly have heard you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll start with the last one. What made us take so long to support the Gen Z? If you followed the Gen Z protests, actually they were asking that we keep out, politicians keep out. And we deliberately kept out, although supporting them on social media, because we would have given Ruto the excuse to say that it is politicians mobilizing. And you remember we had our own protests as Azimio, which had not been as successful as the Gen Z. This was unexpected, and it was only fair. Personally, I supported them on the keyboard only, but without making it look like we are the ones, just urging them on. You sometimes have to let things happen their own way. The only place we never really supported them, and we let them down, when they were massacred on 25th, as their parents, the whole country, we should have come out. We stayed inside as cowards when our children were crying and being massacred outside. That's the only collective blame we take, and which was entrenched by Raila speaking, purporting to speak on behalf and saying, we are talking, until people asked him, what do you mean by we? And he now retreated and said he meant ODM. You see? We let them down collectively as Kenyans. We did not show outrage. We are actually guilty of letting down our children. I don't know how a parent can stay outside when in your compound you can hear your children being hacked to death outside. We should have come out to die with them. Let him kill as many. In Bangladesh, the army killed over 400 until they realized this is not feasible. And they told the lady, it's you to get out. We are not brave collectively. We let our children down. It is a lesson. Moving forward, we must do it differently. How can we all wait to be wiped out? It's still happening. We need to think. The other one, I am not a member of ODM, I'm sorry. Even when I deputized Raila, I deputized him as NARC Kenya, now rebranded as the People's Liberation Party. And we differed when the demonstrations of Azimio were stopped, when Azimio was tricked by Ruto to accept a parliamentary process. NADCO is a parliamentary process. And a parliamentary process, Ruto was welcoming them into his arms. And look at the end result. ODM has one leg in government, one leg in opposition. And I've been telling them publicly, we left Azimio even before we rebranded to PLP. So I'm not a member of Azimio. Raila alikuwa kinara wangu, alikuwa, sio kinara wangu. And it is by choice. We agreed to disagree because failing to relinquish opposition or watchdog committees, which belong to the opposition, when you are actually in government by donating your people to be part of government and dining with the government, is a violation of the Constitution. Watchdog committees of public accounts and public investments must be chaired by virtue of the Constitution and the standing orders by a party that is not in government. And when a party in the opposition wishes to be part of government, you have to do a formal political marriage. And that is called a post-election coalition agreement, which has to be deposited with the registrar. Yani unaelezea umevuka. You have moved to the other side. They've refused to do what is honest. We are calling them out, but me, I'm not a member of ODM, never was its partner, but we parted ways. Yeah. Because you cannot remain in one position if things change. You have to move. The other one, IEBC, to include other registration centers, I had already said so in my address. I do think it's an administrative action, and the diaspora must demand its share, and we shall continue supporting you. What is the problem? Is Ruto the problem in Kenya? Yes. Ruto represents the Ruto KK, now KK ODM administration. So it is KK and its allies. And he being the first among equals, because he's the leader of that Murengo. It is the Ruto administration. When people say Ruto must go, is Ruto the person and the entire administration? He is being named because he is the leader. They are a problem. He said he was fighting dynasties. He has built dynasties, starting with himself. Actually, he meant the opposite. Alikuwa akituambia atazijenga. He talked of cartels. He's the greatest cartel. I saw the other day Standard asking whether Devki is his Gupta. You know Gupta in South Africa. Alikuwa anamuuliza huyo ndiye Gupta wako. So anyway, they have repurposed the state. It no longer serves the majority. It's serving a small clique. You pay taxes, they are used to aid the affluent life of a few, and they are not afraid to show us. They will show us helicopters, they will show us shoes, belts, and watches, and everything else when others are dying. So it is a terrible thing. Our greatest enemy, which Ruto represents, is corruption and impunity. We have abandoned the rule of law. In order to bring sanity back to Kenya, Ruto must go, if that is the question you are asking. In order to liberate Kenya, to liberate education, for people to enjoy human rights, for rule of law to return, yes, Ruto must go. And Ruto must go means Ruto and his entire administration, and anybody else who thinks like him. And whom can we trust? I have given you my view of how you can check the stand of each one of us as leaders. Check our track record. And I'm sure as reasonable beings, you also have many, many other ways of checking on each one of us. Whether we say one thing and do the other. Just the same way you check when you are hiring people, even for your domestic. So let us put our collective wisdom together, and let us be able to do the best we can for our country. Thank you.
Wow, good afternoon, everybody. We appreciate you, our Honorable Mother Karua, so much. First of all, welcome to Atlanta. We are happy to have you, and congratulations on the book. So we will continue these candid discussions with Martha. I have met Martha today for the first time, and I can tell you, just for the little time I have met with Martha, I've really connected with this lady. I have seen her as this tough iron ready we all know about. Actually, I had to ask her, where do you get your niche? Because she is a go-getter. Ladies, let us get empowered by Martha. She is strong. She is a strong woman. And women, we have become strong. So let us continue with these conversations. We are here to support you, Martha. We are here to listen to you. And we will continue with the questions. And I know there are some people who will be passing the mic. I think I have the first one. So those who are helping us, just stand up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Honorable Martha Karua. Okay, I'm not standing on the basis of politics, but I'm standing on the basis of education, because you've said liberation of education is also a key aspect in our country. As a teacher who has 2 certifications, both in Georgia and California, I was a TSC teacher, and I'm looking at the new education system, which is the CBC. We really took the new system, which is not exam route oriented. But since I've been here as a teacher, I've realized that there are cracks involved in our education system. So if we can change it, because I have a proposal which I've been writing, and I was surprised to see in a WhatsApp group that Martha Karua is coming. You can help me to be in the media center, to give them to give me a platform to tell them the reason why we should change some subjects which are in our CBC. I think our education system in the high school level should have a CTE program, which we have in the Douglas County system, whereby we educate our students in relation to the real life situation on the basis. We should not have more compulsory subjects which are not relevant to our students. We are here, but we still have our families back in our country. I still have a 5-year contract with the American government, but still, I'd like to go back to my country to address the new curriculum, which is the Douglas, which I've really been researching on, and with my new teaching certification in California, to tell them that we have messed in the new CBC. It is good for addressing the issues of the Kenyan child, but we really need to adjust some other aspects. As Maya Angelou once said that, what is education? It is to give us the transformative power. At the same time, it is to bring the innovative or creative aspects of a child, and also to provide a better future. So with my proposal, I'm kindly asking Honorable Martha Karua to give me a platform in June, because I'll be having a break back at home, to have a chance in one of the media centers to address the TAC, to allow teachers to come at the same time, teach here for a period of 1 year, go back and implement it in the classroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's have another question. We're going to take 3 questions, and she's going to ask. Okay, let's have this side. Gender balance.
You can hear me even without the microphone, I guess. So mine is political because it goes to the reality. I was in Kenya about a week and a half ago, and I met some person that works in the Ruto government, and he was saying the 2027 is in the bag, and the reasoning was this. According to UNHCR, there are about 3.5 million refugees, and I think Ruto has kind of committed to provide those with Kenyan IDs. If they get Kenyan IDs, they'll be registered as voters. Now, looking at the landscape today, I know the LSK of late 1980s and early 1990s seems to be very different today. I think Omtata now represents the LSK, or he does the work of LSK. And I really like what that senator does. So I'm just curious from you as a senior counsel, representing as a representation of the legal fraternity in Kenya, what, if anything, will Kenyans do to make sure that that doesn't happen. Because I believe the IEBC system is very solid in terms of the voting day. Based on what I understand, it's very difficult to rig from the voting day because the vote count is at the polling station all the way to tallying. But how do you forestall the illegal registration for those people that should not register as voters? How do you forestall that from happening? Because if anyone succeeds in registering people that should not be on the voter rolls, maybe foreigners registering, then they could easily win, but not in a legal way. I just want to hear your thoughts on how especially do we prevent these 3.5 million refugees and possibly many others across the border from registering as voters?
Thank you. Thank you so much. We will have one more question. I think he raised his hand first. Let's have one more and she'll answer and then we'll continue.
This is a political question. Tying to what that gentleman has just said, the fact that we know sometimes if we are struggling right now, we have pain, should we wait until 2027? Or is there any provision by the Constitution? Now that we know we are in a country where presidents have been taken to court and even to jail, why can't we have an avenue where if the current regime is corrupt and there is evidence, what is the law that can provide so that we remove them ahead of time?
Thank you. Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
Once again, I'll start from the bottom and say this. The Constitution provides that sovereignty belongs to the citizens. And I genuinely believe that the Ruto administration was sacked last year, June 25. 37 counties were out in numbers that are unimaginable. If it was a self-respecting administration, he would not have sacked cabinet. They would have resigned as a government and paved way for a new administration. Now that this did not happen, there are many ways they can be run out of town legitimately or run themselves out of town. The economy can collapse. It can also be caused to collapse if Kenyans collectively agreed to boycott work even just for 3 days. The economy is so fragile, it can collapse. There are many options, but all that failing, 2027 is not far. Although people will have suffered so much, we need to prepare. And this joins with the question that, is 2027 a lost cause? Have they already put all the rigging machinery in place so that there is nothing we can do? This is the propaganda that will be marketed to you so that you give up even before trying. There are no 3 million refugees in both Dadaab and Kakuma. Let us begin there. Remember, we had started getting them to go home. Even if you put them together, I don't think they can even add up to 2 million. And Kenyans are not staying idle. Cases will be in court because to be even able to register refugees, the Constitution of Kenya is greater than UNHCR or even the UN. There has to be public participation. There has to be a bill in parliament, legislation. You can't just dish up Kenya's IDs to refugees without a policy paper, without legislation, and with that, it comes with public participation. I believe people are in court. And yes, Omtata does very good work. Even long before he became a senator, Omtata was known as a public defender. But I want to say, the Law Society, under the leadership of Faith Odhiambo, is now the greatest public defender in Kenya. They're actually like an alternative government. Faith has inspired the membership Faith, a young woman, and a scholar, has inspired the membership that anytime the public are arrested, whether in Isiolo, in Mombasa, in Kakamega, any place in Kenya, with just a click of a phone, she'll be able to instantly mobilize lawyers to appear. And if you have followed, you have seen it. If it is the abduction cases, Faith was able to get LSK to go to court to question the cases. And then she named several of us who had shown interest in fighting abductions as interested parties. I was an interested party in that case. Omtata was. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Kenya Human Rights Commission, which is an NGO. One is a constitutional body, the other an NGO. We were several interested parties to help LSK to support the case. The court gave what I would call a funny ruling the other day and said that we now go and prosecute the application. I will not go into the merits of that, but I want you to acknowledge that LSK is back, and it's back under the leadership of Faith Moni Odhiambo. And she's doing very great together with her entire council, and there is harmony. We still appreciate the effort Senator Omtata puts. There is also another doctor from Nakuru called Morara Omoke. There are several Kenyans who have come up. They may not have acquired the prolific status of Omtata when it comes to suing. Omoke is in Nakuru. There's another person in the same Nakuru I'm forgetting. There are several people around the country who are now regularly suing the government. And it is something beautiful. We are under a dictator, but the only difference between this and Moi era is that there is a constitution that helps us to push back, to get, even if it's temporary orders, to fight these things. So we have not lost. And those who are wondering how we shall win when it is Ruto and ODM putting in an electoral commission, we are telling Ruto, even if you put together a Ruto electoral commission, bado tutakushinda. Please do not agree to be smothered before you even try. We are willing to try. And as the opposition, we are uniting. We have unity of purpose. Not everybody has come under it, but the doors are wide open for everybody to come under that umbrella. To defeat a dictator, and that's what happened during the KANU era, you got to front one main opposition candidate. And you've got to move the country to the extent that a majority, a large majority, vote on one side. If you remember, Kibaki had over 63 or 67, between 63 and 67%. KANU membership in parliament dropped to under 40. We are saying the next elections, constituencies are 290. We must not allow KK and its allies to have more than 40. 250, lazima iwe upande moja. And all the votes must be largely on one side. That's the only way to defeat a rigging machine. I saw it in Senegal in January of this year. And we are telling our neighbors in Uganda and Tanzania, they must also unite. Because what happens in Uganda is affecting Kenya. And what happens in Kenya is affecting? You saw me going to Uganda to fight for Besigye. By the way, the case is still on. Because we must show the dictators, if they unite to oppress us, as citizens of Jumuiya, we are uniting to push back. Wafanye ile wanataka. Fear is not an option. Hata ukikaa chini ya kitanda kwako, watakukujia huko chini ya kitanda. Wacha tutoke, tuwaonyeshe, hata sisi, we are not living at their mercy. It's under the mercy of God. So, please, let us not give up before we start. These are not the only thoughts, it's my thoughts. Search yourself, you might just give us an idea on how to bust these guys. Finally, I think I've answered all of them because I've answered. Oh, education, yes, teacher. I can see this one here in TSC. Those are very good thoughts, madam. And it is your right, as the right of every Kenyan, to contribute to education policy and even later legislation on education. CBC was hurriedly crafted. And by the way, it was not our original idea. I tell you the truth, it came from UK. We are still a colony in our deeds. Waliweka CBC huko, wakatumana kwetu, tukaichukua, tukakimbia nayo. All right? We have no preparedness, teachers had not been trained, hastily enacted, and a bother to parents. I will not tell you that tukiingia hivi tutaichange siku hiyo. But if we start now, developing policy, and that's why we need those ideas, because we intend to have a common platform as the opposition, and we are many candidates, and we are saying let everybody grow their brand. Martha Karua anajikuza na PLP. Kalonzo anajikuza na chama yake. Matiang'i atajikuza. Kila mtu atajikuza. And then it will begin to become obvious that XY may be the leading candidate. And then we find a fair way of settling on one. Going to the polls, many of us, is automatically voting for Ruto. And it's a crime against Kenyans. You see? You also can pressurize us that we either are together or tukae. You know? Let's join this conversation. We are in a very, very bad place. I want to welcome you and tell you that PLP would like to hear your ideas on education. But when you come to Kenya, take contact. I will help you get to a station where you can discuss your policies. And even if you want to write an op-ed in the newspapers, we'll support to have you air your views. We are not, none of us has a monopoly of wisdom. And I have learned through my leadership journey, you succeed when you are open to ideas. Even as a minister, I wasn't an expert in water when I went to the Ministry of Water. But using my experts, the ministry was shining. You get the credit when you allow people, human resources to guide you, you get the credit. When Kibaki gets the credit, he didn't do it alone. But he was the type of person who allows talent to show up. Ruto is failing. When you become a know-it-all and you lock out talent, when you make your ministers and your senior people robots, you fail because nobody has it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.